The hook didn't come from my wife. It came from a man I don't even like. "Hey," Mr. Ortiz said over the phone, voice low like he was reporting a fire. "I'm not trying to start trouble. But you should know your wife's car was at Rook's last night. Late. Parked in the back, where people go when they don't want to be seen." I stood in my kitchen with a coffee I hadn't tasted yet, watching the sink drip like it was keeping time. The house smelled like dish soap and the candle she always lit when she wanted the place to feel peaceful. Peaceful. "Sure. Rook's closes at 10, I said. "It does," Ortiz replied. "That's why I'm calling. I was locking up my shop. I saw her come out after midnight. She wasn't alone." He let that hang there, then added, "I'm sorry, son. I didn't thank him. I didn't curse him out either. I just looked at the magnet on my fridge, some cheap tourist thing shaped like a bear, and listened to my own breathing." "Who was he?" I asked. I didn't see his face. "Hoodie. Broad shoulders." He opened her door like he'd done it before. I hung up and stayed where I was. No pacing. No yelling. I've learned, if you move too fast, you move stupid. My wife, Maren, came in from the hallway wearing my hoodie like she owned it. That was her favorite trick: take something of mine, wrap it around herself, and make it feel like we were still a team. "You're up early," she said, casual. Too casual. I had a call. From who? She didn't look at me when she asked. She grabbed a mug and rinsed it like she had all the time in the world. I watched her hands. The ring was on. That ring did a lot of work for her. "Mr. Ortiz," I said. Now she looked. Just a flicker, like a lizard blinking. "What did he want?" "He said he saw you at Rook's." Her face didn't fall apart. She had discipline. That was one of the reasons I married her. That was also going to be one of the reasons this would hurt more. "Rook's," she repeated, slow. "That's ridiculous. I haven't been there in months." "Okay," I said, like I believed her. She studied me, looking for the crack. I didn't give her one. I sipped my coffee and made my face neutral, like I was listening to a weather report. "You sure he said me?" she asked. "There are plenty of white SUVs in this town." "Emicham." She waited. I didn't bite. So she changed tactics, stepped closer, put a hand on my shoulder, leaned in like she was going to kiss me. I didn't move away. I also didn't move toward her. That pause, half a second, was enough for her to pull back. "Are we doing this again?" she said, irritation sliding in. "You're going to start acting weird because some old man thinks he saw something." "Acting weird," I repeated. "That's funny." "What's funny?" "You calling him an old man when he's the one who fixed your brakes last month. For free." She narrowed her eyes. I'd landed a clean little hit. Nothing brutal, just enough to let her know I wasn't asleep. "You're in a mood," she said. "I have to get to the gym." "The gym," I said. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Say it like it's a code word." I set my mug down. Soft. Controlled. "Maren, if you're lying to me, you should at least keep your story simple." Her jaw tightened. She picked up her keys. "I'm not doing this before 8 a.m. She walked out. Not slammed the door, she wasn't that messy. She closed it with care, like she didn't want the neighbors to hear the sound of a marriage cracking. I waited 10 minutes, then drove to Rook's. I didn't go in like a man looking for a fight. I went in like a man buying time. The bartender, Tara, was wiping down the counter. She'd known me since before Maren started wearing fake smiles in public. Tara looked up. "You look like you lost something." "Maybe I did," I said. "Quick question. You see Maren last night?" Tara didn't answer right away. That told me everything. I let the silence sit on the bar between us. She came in, Tara finally said. Didn't sit up front. Back booth. Ordered soda water. Like she wanted to pretend she wasn't here. And she left with someone. Name. Tara shook her head. I didn't catch it. I slid my eyes to her, steady, no begging. Tara. She exhaled, annoyed at herself more than me. He's been around. Comes in after the gym crowd. Drives a black Tacoma. Calls himself Dane. Dane. I nodded like I was ordering food. You sure? I'm sure enough to tell you not to make this my problem, she said. It won't be, I told her. You just did your part. I left Rooks without making a scene. That's what men do when they intend to win instead of explode. In my truck, I stared at my phone for a full minute before I called Lena, Maren's sister. Lena answered on the second ring. Hey. Everything okay? No, I said. But I'm calm. Which is worse? She didn't laugh. Lena knew me. She knew when my voice got flat, it meant the ground was about to move. What happened? I got a call. Then I got confirmation. I need you to tell me the truth, has Maren been different with you? A pause. Then, she's been avoiding me. Snappy. And she's had this glow, like she's winning at something. I swallowed once. Who's Dane? Lena went quiet. That was the second confirmation. Lena, I said again, same tone. I don't know him, she admitted. But she mentioned a friend from the gym a couple times. Like it was casual. Like it was nothing. Nothing, I repeated. Yeah. That's usually how it starts. Lena hesitated. What are you going to do? I'm going to stop guessing, I said. And I'm going to stop giving her room to rewrite reality. I drove home and waited until late, until she was in the shower and the house was fogged up with steam and perfume. Her phone was on the nightstand, face down, like it was ashamed. I picked it up. No shaking hands. No dramatic breathing. Just work. I didn't need to read every message. I didn't need a confession. I needed a pattern, time, place, contact. Proof that wouldn't evaporate when she turned on tears. I installed a tracker the way a man sets a snare, quietly, cleanly, and with respect for the outcome. When I put her phone back, it sat exactly where it had been. Face down. Still ashamed. I went to bed beside her like nothing had changed. But something had. And she was going to feel it soon. The tracker didn't light up right away. That was the first thing I noticed. If you're cheating recklessly, you move fast. You don't think. You don't plan. But Maren didn't go anywhere unusual that first day. Gym. Grocery store. Home. Normal enough to make a man doubt himself. That's how she'd always done things, slow. Careful. Like she was easing into deeper water without making ripples. That night, she cooked. Real cooking, not the lazy kind. Chopped garlic. Opened a bottle of wine she'd been saving. She touched my arm twice while we ate. You seem distant, she said. I've got a lot on my mind. She nodded like a woman who understood pressure. She'd practiced that look in mirrors. Later, when she fell asleep, I stared at the ceiling and listened to her breathing. Even. Comfortable. That bothered me more than if she'd tossed and turned. At 11:47 p.m., her phone pinged softly. The tracker updated. She hadn't moved. But someone had. A second device appeared on the map, parked 2 houses down. Black Tacoma. I didn't need a name tag. I waited. At 12:06, Maren slipped out of bed. She didn't turn on the light. She already knew where everything was. She grabbed her jacket, her shoes, and paused at the door like she might look back. She didn't. The tracker dot moved. I didn't follow her. Not yet. That was the rule I set for myself. Follow too early and you end up reacting. I wanted leverage, not closure. Instead, I got dressed and drove to the gym. Not to work out. To watch. The place was lit like an aquarium. Glass walls. Bright floors. People moving in patterns they thought were private. I sat in my truck across the street and waited. At 12:32 a.m., the Tacoma pulled in. Maren stepped out like she belonged there, confident, relaxed, already halfway gone from me. Dane followed. Taller than I expected. Thick through the shoulders. Moved like he'd learned to take up space. They didn't kiss. That told me everything. They walked in together like coworkers finishing a late shift. I took photos. Not dramatic ones. Clean ones. Time-stamped. Enough to kill denial. Then I left. On the way home, I stopped at a notary office I knew stayed open late for emergency filings. Mr. Ortiz had mentioned it once, said people always wait until things are on fire before they want paperwork. I filed a quiet affidavit. Date. Time. Observation. No accusations. Just facts. Paper doesn't forget. Back home, Maren was already in bed when I returned. She'd showered. Changed. Slipped back into place like nothing had happened. "You okay?" she murmured. "Yeah." She rolled toward me, pressed her leg against mine. I didn't move. The next morning, I called Lena again. "She's going to the gym after midnight," I said. Lena didn't pretend to be surprised this time. She told me she was doing late classes. "Classes," I said. "Right. What are you going to do?" she asked again. "I'm going to let her hang herself," I said. "I just need you to stop covering for her." There was a long pause. Then, "I will." That was the sound of a line being crossed. By day 3, the pattern was clear. Every other night. Same time. Same truck. Same place. No messages saved, she was careful, but the movement never lied. I brought Tara into it next. I didn't threaten her. I didn't guilt her. I just told her the truth. "I'm not asking you to spy," I said. "I'm asking you to remember." Tara sighed. "He talks. Brags. Says she's stuck with you. Says she'll leave when the timing's right. That so? She doesn't correct him." I nodded. "That's enough." The last piece came from an unexpected place. Mr. Ortiz called again. "You might want to come by Rook's tomorrow," he said. "Your wife made a reservation. Back room. Private. With Dane." "With his friends," Ortiz said. "I think she's being shown off." That was the moment my strategy shifted. This wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was contempt. I thanked Ortiz. Hung up. And started making calls, not angry ones. Administrative ones. By the time Maren kissed me goodbye the next morning, smiling like we were still married, the ground under her feet was already hollowed out. She just didn't know it yet. And I wasn't going to warn her. The back room at Rook's isn't soundproof. That matters. I didn't tell Maren I'd be there. I didn't tell anyone I'd be there. I showed up early, sat with my back to the wall, and ordered coffee like a man waiting for paperwork to clear. Tara gave me a look when she saw me. Not panic. Respect. She slid the mug across and leaned in just enough. "They're due at 8, she said. 4 of them. Maybe 5. Who else? I asked. Dane. 2 guys from his gym. And her friend, Kelsey. The loud one. Kelsey. Of course. Every secret needs a cheerleader. I nodded. Don't change anything. I won't, Tara said. But I don't want trouble. You won't get it, I told her. Just echoes. I sat there for 40 minutes listening to nothing important. Ice clinking. Laughter from the main room. A game on TV no one was watching. At 8:07, they came in. Maren walked first. Hair done. Dress she hadn't worn for me in over a year. She scanned the room like she owned it. She didn't see me. Dane followed, hand on her back. Familiar. Possessive. Like he'd already decided where he stood in her life. They filled the back room with noise, chairs scraping, greetings too loud, drinks ordered like it was a celebration. I stayed still. I didn't need to hear everything. Just enough. He's clueless, Dane said at one point. I heard it clear as day. Guy lives on autopilot. Laughter. Not hers, but she didn't object. Kelsey chimed in. You should have left him already. You're wasting your prime. Maren laughed then. Not nervous. Not defensive. Comfortable. That laugh did something permanent to me. I pulled my phone out and started recording audio. Not illegally, this state allows one-party consent. I'd already checked. Weeks ago, actually. I don't like surprises. Once the paperwork's done, Maren said, voice light, I'll be free. Paperwork. Interesting word choice. I didn't stay for dessert. I left 5 minutes later and drove straight to the notary again. Updated the affidavit. Added names. Context. Pattern. Then I went to the gym. Not to watch this time. To talk. The front desk kid looked barely 20. I asked for the manager. A woman named Denise came out, sharp eyes, clipboard grip like a weapon. I need to ask about a trainer, I said. Dane. Denise stiffened. What about him? I'm his wife's husband. That landed. I'm not here to cause a scene, I continued. I'm here to document misconduct. If he's using gym facilities for personal encounters after hours, that's a liability. She didn't deny it. That was my answer. Write a statement, she said. We'll review footage. I will, I said. And I'll need a copy of the access logs. She hesitated. That requires legal. I already have it, I said, sliding a card across. My attorneys. Mr. Ortiz had recommended him. Quiet man. Efficient. Denise read the name and nodded once. Give me until morning, she said. By the time I got home, Maren was already there. Sitting on the couch. Waiting. You were out, she said. So were you. She smiled thinly. I had drinks with friends. Which friends? Kelsey. Some people from the gym. I sat across from her. Calm. Measured. Dane. Her eyes flicked. Just once. He was there, she said. So what? So nothing, I replied. Just making conversation. She studied me harder now. You're being strange. I've always been strange, I said. You just used to like it. That hit. She stood up. I'm going to bed. Okay. She paused at the hallway. You don't trust me anymore. I didn't answer. That silence followed her down the hall like a verdict. The next morning, I met Lena for coffee. Public place. Windows. Witnesses. She's planning to leave, I told her. But she wants it clean. Controlled. On her terms. Lena stared into her cup. She told me she was unhappy. Unhappy people ask for help, I said. This is something else. What do you want from me? Lena asked quietly. I want you to stop being her excuse, I said. And I want you there when it breaks. She swallowed. You're serious. I've never been more calm. That afternoon, Denise emailed me the logs. Dates. Times. Access codes. It was enough. I printed everything. 3 copies. 1 for me. 1 for my attorney. 1 for later. That night, Maren tried again, sat close, touched my hand, asked if we were okay. I looked at her and saw it clearly then, she thought she was ahead of me. That was the last advantage she had. And I was done letting her believe it. I didn't confront her that night. That's the mistake people expect you to make: explode too early, reveal what you know, give the other person time to reshape the truth. I slept beside her instead. Back turned. Breathing steady. Letting her think the storm was still theoretical. At 6:12 a.m., her phone moved. The tracker blinked alive before the alarm even went off. Same route. Same pattern. No urgency. Just habit. That told me something important: Dane wasn't a thrill anymore. He was routine. I got up, showered, dressed, kissed her cheek like a man heading to work. She stirred, smiled half awake. Drive safe, she murmured. I always do. Instead of going to my office, I parked 2 blocks from the gym. I didn't watch the building this time, I watched the parking lot. People come and go when they think no one's paying attention. Dane's Tacoma rolled in at 6:29. He didn't park close. He didn't park far. Comfortable middle ground. The place men choose when they don't think consequences apply to them. Maren arrived 3 minutes later. She didn't hesitate. She didn't look around. She walked straight to him, and he leaned out of the truck to say something that made her laugh. That laugh again. I took 1 photo. Just 1. Then I left. At 9, I met my attorney. He flipped through the documents slowly. Access logs. Audio transcript. Affidavits. Photos. She's sloppy, he said finally. Not emotionally, logistically. She thinks I'm passive. He nodded. That's working in your favor. What's my exposure? I asked. He leaned back. Minimal. No kids. Clean financial separation if you move first. And if I don't? She controls the narrative. I stood. I won't let that happen. On the way out, I ran into Mr. Ortiz in the hallway. He wasn't there by accident. You ready? He asked. Almost. He handed me a folder. Notary copies. And something else. Inside was a still image from Rook's security system. Time-stamped. Maren's hand on Dane's thigh. I didn't steal it, Ortiz said calmly. They requested a copy for an insurance audit. I remembered you. I shook his hand. Firm. Grateful. You did right. That afternoon, I called Kelsey. She answered on speaker, loud music in the background. Hey. What's up? Let's talk, I said. Oh, she laughed. About what? About how you're helping my wife plan her exit. Silence. That's not. You told her I was wasting her prime, I said evenly. You told her to leave me. You sat at Rook's and laughed while another man talked about me like I was already gone. Her voice dropped. You're spying on us. No, I said. You're loud. I let that sit. She's using you, I continued. And when this collapses, she'll say you encouraged her. That you pressured her. That you didn't know the whole story. That's not fair. Nothing about this is, I replied. But here's the choice, you step back, or you get pulled into something legal and uncomfortable. You can't. I already have, I said. Ask her. I hung up before she could respond. That evening, Maren came home tight-lipped. Her confidence had a fracture in it now. She poured herself a drink without asking if I wanted one. Kelsey called, she said. I know. She says you threatened her. I informed her. Maren turned on me then. You're acting like I'm doing something wrong. You are. There it was. Clean. Spoken. No shouting. She laughed, sharp and defensive. Oh please. You checked out years ago. That's your story, I said. It doesn't make it true. She stepped closer. You don't get to interrogate me. I'm not, I replied. I'm documenting. Her face changed. What does that mean? It means, I said slowly, that when this ends, it ends accurately. For the first time, she looked uncertain. That night, she slept on the couch. I stayed in the bed. The house felt different, like it was already letting go of her. And somewhere between midnight and dawn, I realized something else. She still thought she could negotiate. That misunderstanding was going to cost her everything she was trying to save. Maren didn't go to the gym the next morning. That was new. Instead, she stayed home, moving through the house like a guest overstaying her welcome. Cabinets opened and closed softly. The coffee pot stayed untouched. She watched me from doorways like she was measuring distance. You're not leaving, she finally asked. I am, I said. Just not rushing. She folded her arms. Defensive posture. We need to talk. We've been talking, I replied. You just haven't liked the direction. Her mouth tightened. You've been monitoring me. I've been observing patterns, I said. Same as you. That's invasive. So is betrayal. She flinched. Not dramatically, just enough to confirm it landed. You don't know what you think you know, she said. You're jumping to conclusions. I stood, grabbed my keys, and looked at her for a long second. That line only works when the other person hasn't done their homework. I left before she could respond. Instead of going to work, I went to the notary again. Filed one more statement, this time about her reaction. Denial. Deflection. Emotional shift. It matters later. Then I met Lena. She was already there, hands wrapped tight around her mug. She called me, Lena said as soon as I sat down. Crying. Saying you're controlling. That you're scaring her. Did you believe her? Lena shook her head. No. She was too focused on herself. Good, I said. Because this is where it changes. I slid a folder across the table. Copies. Redacted where necessary. Lena opened it. Read. Her face drained slowly. Oh my God, she whispered. She's been planning this longer than she admits, I said. And she's been letting people disrespect me while she smiles. Lena closed the folder. What do you want me to do? When I confront her, I said, I want you there. Not to attack. To witness. Lena nodded once. She won't forgive you for this. I'm not looking for forgiveness. That night, I cooked dinner. Maren noticed. She always did when routines shifted. What's the occasion? She asked. No occasion, I said. Just figured we should eat together. She hesitated, then sat. Halfway through the meal, she reached for her phone. I didn't stop her. I watched. It buzzed once. She checked the screen. Her eyes flicked up to mine. Who's texting? I asked calmly. Kelsey. Is she asking if the plan's still on? Her hand froze. I stood and went to the drawer where I'd already placed the folder. I set it on the table between us. Before you say anything, I said, understand this, I'm not here to argue facts. She stared at the folder like it might bite her. You went through my things, she said weakly. I went through reality, I replied. She opened it. Slowly. Each page took something from her, confidence, posture, breath. You can't use this, she said. Some of this was private. It's documented, I said. That's different. Her eyes filled, not with regret, but with calculation. So what, she snapped, you're going to humiliate me? Ruin my life? No, I said. You did that part. I'm just making sure you don't take mine with you. She stood abruptly. You think Dane matters? He was nothing. I was lonely. Lonely people ask for connection, I said. You built an exit. She laughed bitterly. You think you're so righteous. I think I'm finished, I replied. There was a knock at the door. Maren froze. I went and opened it. Lena stepped in, calm, eyes steady. Maren, she said. I'm here because I love you. And because this needs to be witnessed. Maren's face crumpled then, not into apology, but rage. You planned this, she hissed at me. Yes, I said. Because you planned first. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was heavy with the understanding that whatever story she thought she'd tell later, about neglect, about unhappiness, about drifting apart, had just lost its audience. And for the first time since this started, Maren understood something she hadn't counted on. She wasn't in control anymore. Not of the narrative. Not of the ending. And definitely not of me. Maren didn't scream. That surprised me. She sat back down slowly, like her legs had decided without consulting her. Lena stayed standing near the doorway, not blocking it, just present. Witness, not guard. You brought her, Maren said, voice tight. I asked her, I replied. You brought everyone else. Maren looked at her sister. You're taking his side. Lena shook her head. I'm taking reality's side. That landed harder than anything I'd said. Maren rubbed her temples. You don't understand what it's been like. Living here. With you. Everything scheduled. Everything, flat. Then you should have left, I said. Not outsourced your courage. She snapped her head toward me. You were never there. I was right here, I said. You just stopped seeing me when I stopped being useful. Her mouth opened, then closed. She reached for the wineglass, realized it was empty, set it down again. So what now? She asked. Now, I said, you stop lying. She laughed softly. To who? To yourself, I replied. You already lost everyone else. She turned to Lena. You think this makes you better than me? No, Lena said quietly. I think it makes me honest. Maren stood again, pacing now. Fine. You want honesty? I was done months ago. Dane just made it easier. There it is, I said. I didn't plan to humiliate you, she shot back. I just wanted out. Then why the back room at Rook's? I asked. Why the jokes? Why letting him talk about me like I was already erased? She stopped pacing. That wasn't serious, she said. That was, venting. Venting is private, I said. That was performance. Silence again. Lena spoke. Maren, have you even thought about what happens next? I'll move out, Maren said quickly. I'll stay with Kelsey or... No, I said. You won't. She turned on me. You don't get to decide that. I do, I replied, calm. Because I filed first. Her face drained. What? She whispered. This morning, I continued, separation papers were filed. Assets frozen. Accounts documented. You can't move money. You can't claim surprise. And you can't pretend this was mutual. Lena closed her eyes. Maren stumbled back like I'd shoved her. You're serious. I've never been calmer. She sank onto the couch. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked small. What about Dane? She asked, almost to herself. That's between you and him, I said. But you should know, his gym has footage. Logs. A pending review. Her head snapped up. You went after his job. I went after the truth, I said. Consequences follow on their own. She let out a hollow laugh. You really hate me. No, I said. I stopped protecting you. That distinction mattered. Lena stepped closer to her sister. You need to pack a bag, she said gently. Just for tonight. Maren looked up at her. You're kicking me out. No, Lena replied. I'm keeping this from getting worse. Maren's eyes filled then, not with remorse, but with loss of control. She stood, walked to the bedroom, and packed in silence. No slamming drawers. No dramatic gestures. Just the sound of a life being condensed into a duffel. When she came back, she stopped in front of me. You think you've won, she said. I think I'm finished, I replied. She searched my face for something, anger, pain, regret. I gave her nothing. She left without another word. The door closed softly behind her. Lena stayed a moment longer. I'm sorry, she said. For all of it. You didn't do this, I replied. She nodded and left. I stood alone in the house after that. The quiet felt earned. Not peaceful, but settled. Later that night, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. She didn't tell you everything. I stared at the screen. Then I set the phone down and turned off the lights. Because whatever she hadn't told me yet. I already knew this wasn't over. I didn't answer the message right away. That was important. When someone reaches out from the shadows, they expect urgency. Fear. Curiosity. I gave them silence instead. Silence makes liars nervous and truth-tellers impatient. I poured a drink and sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Maren used to plan vacations she never meant to take with me. The house was quiet in a way it hadn't been in years. No background tension. No rehearsed kindness. At 11:19 p.m., the phone buzzed again. She told him you were dangerous. I picked it up this time. Who is this? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Someone who got used. Like you. I leaned back in my chair. Say what you want to say. Or stop. A full minute passed. My name's Evan. I train at the gym. Dane talks too much. That tracked. What didn't she tell me? I typed. The reply came fast this time. That she was planning to accuse you. I didn't move. Didn't blink. Accuse me of what? Another pause. Longer. Control. Emotional abuse. Feeling unsafe. She said if you pushed back, she'd make it messy. There it was. The second voice. I closed my eyes once, then opened them again. Calm. Focused. Did you hear this directly? Yes. Rooks. Back room. Same night you were there, I think. She said it like a backup plan. Backup plan. That was the word that stuck. Why tell me now? Because Dane's spiraling. Jim put him on leave today. He thinks she set him up. He's angry. Angry enough to do what? I don't know. But he's talking about you like you ruined his life. I stood and walked to the window, looking out at the dark street like it might answer me. I need a statement, Evan. Written. Time, place, exact words. I figured you'd say that. A document came through minutes later. Clear. Specific. Damning. I forwarded it to my attorney and Mr. Ortiz. Then I sent one more message. You did the right thing. Stay out of it now. I blocked the number. The next morning, Maren's attorney called mine. They wanted to discuss tone. That's what people say when their leverage evaporates. My attorney handled it. I listened on speaker, silent. She's alleging emotional intimidation, her lawyer said. We have preemptive documentation, my attorney replied. Including third-party testimony contradicting her claim. A pause. We'll advise our client accordingly. When the call ended, my attorney looked at me. You anticipated this. I knew she wouldn't walk away clean, I said. She won't try that angle again. Good. That afternoon, I ran into Dane. Not planned. Just gravity doing what it does. He was in the grocery store parking lot, leaning against his truck like he owned the space. He straightened when he saw me, jaw tight, eyes sharp. You happy? He asked. No, I said. I'm finished. He scoffed. She said you were. Careful, I cut in, voice low. Anything you say to me now becomes part of a pattern. He hesitated. I saw it. Men like him aren't used to consequences, speaking calmly. She played you, I added. Same way she played me. Difference is, you believed you were special. His hands clenched. She told me you were unstable. She told me you were temporary, I replied. That did it. He looked away first. I got in my truck and left him there with that truth. I didn't need to win the moment. I'd already won the outcome. That night, Lena called. She's furious, she said. At you. At Dane. At me. Mostly at herself, but she won't admit it. Is she still trying to spin it? Yes. She always will, I said. But the audience is gone. I hung up and sat in the quiet again. The thing about betrayal is this, once the lies collapse, what's left isn't anger. It's clarity. And clarity is ruthless. There was only one part left now. The ending she never planned for. And I was going to let it arrive on schedule. The hearing took 27 minutes. That's all it took to reduce 14 years into bullet points and exhibits. No raised voices. No drama. Just facts moving from one hand to another. Maren sat across the room, shoulders squared, jaw set like she was still fighting for leverage that no longer existed. Her attorney leaned in twice to whisper things that didn't seem to help. When it was her turn to speak, she tried once more. I felt unsafe, she said, eyes glossy, voice steady enough to sound practiced. Emotionally controlled. I didn't know how to leave. My attorney didn't object. He waited. Then he stood and handed the clerk 3 documents. Affidavits. Audio excerpts. Evan's statement. Time-stamped records showing she planned her exit while telling people I was dangerous. The judge listened. Read. Asked 2 questions. Then looked at Maren. Ms. Hale, he said, your claim is not supported by evidence. In fact, the documentation suggests premeditation in bad faith. Her face finally cracked. Just a little. The ruling was clean. No penalties. No sympathy. Just a denial and a warning about future representations. When it was over, Maren didn't look at me. She gathered her bag and walked out like the building had insulted her. I didn't follow. I went to my truck and sat for a long minute before starting it. Not because I was overwhelmed, but because I was done rushing for anyone. 2 days later, the divorce was finalized. Assets split. Clean. No surprises. She tried once to reopen negotiations. My attorney shut it down without asking me. "She's fishing," he said. "There's nothing left." He was right. The last contact came a week later. An email. No subject line. "I never meant for it to end like this. You don't know how lonely I was. I hope someday you understand." I read it once. Then I archived it. Understanding was the last thing she didn't get to ask from me. A month passed. Then 2. I heard through Lena that Dane moved towns. Lost the gym. Lost the crowd. He blamed Maren now. She blamed everyone else. That cycle didn't include me anymore. One evening, I went to Rook's. Sat at the bar. Ordered coffee. Tara slid it over. "You look lighter." "I am," I said. "You ever miss her?" I thought about it. "Honestly." "No," I said. "I miss who I thought she was." "That's different." "Yeah," I agreed. "It is." When I left, the parking lot was empty. No Tacoma. No backroom laughter. Just quiet and space. At home, the house felt like mine for the first time in years. Not happy. Not sad. Just honest. That was the ending she never planned for. Not revenge. Not reconciliation. Just removal. And I've learned something since then. When someone builds their escape by destroying your name, the strongest response isn't to chase them. It's to make sure they leave alone, with the truth walking right behind them. After the papers were signed, people expected a transformation. They always do. Friends waited for me to start dating, to talk about fresh starts, to do something loud enough to reassure them that everything had meaning. I didn't give them that. I kept my routines. Same morning coffee. Same drives. Same steady pace. The difference was weight. It was gone. I found small things first. Her favorite mug, left in the back of a cabinet. A scarf in the hall closet that still smelled like her perfume. I didn't throw them out in anger. I boxed them carefully and dropped them at Lena's place without comment. Lena hugged me longer than necessary. "She won't say it," she whispered, "but she knows." "Knowing isn't the same as owning," I replied. Weeks later, I ran into Maren one last time. Not planned. Not dramatic. The grocery store again, different aisle, same fluorescent lights. She looked thinner. Sharper. Like someone who'd been living on adrenaline too long. She froze when she saw me. I didn't. "Hey," she said finally. "Hey." She waited for more. I didn't give it to her. "I didn't think you'd still live here," she said. "I didn't think you'd leave like that," I replied. Fair exchange. She nodded, eyes flicking away. "I heard you're doing well." "I'm stable," I said. "That's better." She smiled sadly. "You always wanted peace." "No," I corrected. "I wanted honesty." That landed. She swallowed. "I never hated you," she said. "I know," I replied. "You just didn't respect me." Silence stretched. People passed. Life kept moving. "I should go," she said. Yes, I agreed. She walked away without looking back. That was it. No closure speech. No apology. No reconciliation fantasy. Just two people returning to separate lives, one of them finally unburdened. That night, I sat on the porch and watched the streetlights come on one by one. I thought about how betrayal doesn't always end with fire. Sometimes it ends with quiet, with understanding sharpened by evidence and restraint. I didn't forgive her. I didn't need to. What mattered was this: she left with the story exposed, the lies documented, and the future she planned emptied of witnesses. And I stayed. Not triumphant. Not bitter. Just present. That's what psychological revenge looks like when it's done right. You don't destroy them. You remove yourself. And let the truth do the rest.